Hello and welcome to what is our first group therapy session of the season with ATL Falcons UK. As always, I've got two of my three stunning co-hosts in Liam and Cal with me this week. Mark just doesn't want to face the limelight. He doesn't want to see a camera. He doesn't want to know anything about the Falcons at all. So we're going to run through our thoughts about the game, negatives, positives, look ahead to next week for the Vikings game, and of course a whip around of the league because there were some juicy games. So, boys, let's get your overviews to start with. Liam, how are you feeling about what we witnessed?
Yeah, I mean, overall, it was obviously frustrating with the result, mainly. Just sort of the way the game went, and some of those big turning points that could have gone differently and things in different play calls, or whatever you want to call it, or execution. It was a very winnable game. I think that's what made it the most frustrating. That the Bucs weren't very good, really. They almost wanted to give us the win at some points. They struggled themselves. It's the kind of game when you're at home that's where you kind of want to capitalize. I think if we were away from home, it would have been a little bit different because when both teams are struggling a little bit, you kind of want to have the home crowd just get you over the line. But obviously, it didn't work for us. So frustrating result. Obviously it's early, so you don't want to
don't want to jump the gun too much.
But it's a home loss in the division, which is never good at any stage of the season, really. Against obviously our expected biggest rivals within the division. So it's a tough one to take.
It is full of positives and negatives. But Cal, what were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, a bit more like Liam said. It was a frustrating win. It was a win where it was a loss. Did I say frustrating win? Frustrating
you did.
Win.
I was going to say.
Even I'm getting ahead of myself. It's a frustrating loss because I think, like Liam said, they wasn't that good. I don't think they were that miles better than us, if at all. I think overall we probably beat ourselves again with some of the mistakes we made, some of the play calling, some of the penalties we gave away, which were I know penalties can go like either way, but we'll get onto that after, obviously, with Koo missing field goal. But there is a lot of positives, and I think one of the positives is also seeing them not be that good. I know it's only game week 1, but they probably think the same about us. But at least we know they're not. They're obviously there to be beaten.
They're beatable.
So there's only one.
Yeah,
definitely. There was a lot of positives, which we'll get onto, but there's obviously a lot of negatives, and luckily we've got an extra few days training this week before we play the Vikings, so hopefully we can make that 0-1, 1-1, because we need that.
We're one game into the season, and we're already looking at the fact that the Vikings don't play until tonight. So that's a good omen, isn't it? Let's start the show gloomy and depressing, so we can move on to all the positives later on. So I assume we're going to want to talk about play calling. Obviously, we're going to want to talk about Koo's kick and things like that. So let's start with that play calling. A couple of 4-and-1 situations where it looked like we used Bijan in a lateral route instead of just going through with Tyler and things like that. Liam, what were your takes? Let's go for the offense initially, because I think that's probably where most of the problems lay.
I mean, it may be a bit of 50-50, but I'd say the offense probably was the bit that struggled the most. Mainly in it was the run game, wasn't it? And that's what frustrated me the most about all of this, is that we're a team that's designed to run the ball. Our O-line's built on the basis of being good run blockers. We have two very good running backs. It's kind of what we're supposed to do, and we couldn't do it. I know they've got obviously a good run defense, probably the best run stop in the league and all that sort of stuff, but we still should be confident enough to create at least some decent runs. And we literally we created none, basically, the whole game, as if we didn't create a single. I think the only +10 rush was actually by Penix rather than by either of the running backs.
They
had 24 yards each, Bijan and Tyler, which is poor.
Yeah.
Like, it's not good at all. Like, you don't win many games where you've got your top running back getting 24 yards on the ground.
No,
obviously, Bijan himself made up for it kind of in the past game, but that's still you kind of need that on top of the rushes, and you need to be going 6, 7, 8, 10 plus yards on these rushes on a fairly regular basis, and that just takes the pressure off the running back, off the quarterback. Sorry, like we just put pressure on Penix the whole game by being bad at the run, like put us in constant third down positions, and that's tricky for any quarterback. So that was my main negative was partly play calling. I think in terms of when we say running game, yes, maybe the O-line didn't perform as well as it could, and maybe the running backs didn't, but ultimately the stats suggest that we just ran it up the same gap, like near enough on like 70% of the snaps. Whereas why do we just keep trying to, like, when it was on sort of like second and an 8 or whatever, we're trying to slam it up the middle, and then when it comes to like first and short, and like then we're trying to go to the outside. It's like, what are you doing? Like, do something.
Do the opposite.
Great, you've got more room, and then when you just need to get a yard, just slam it up the middle and hope you can get a yard. I don't do the opposite, and that's what we were doing, and I just found it baffling at points.
I think that's a super frustrating one, because we thought that those problems, because they existed last season as well, might have been ironed out by now.
Yeah.
But it looks like we've still got that uncertainty in terms of when to go for what maneuver. And I know it's early and the players are going to be rusty because first team players don't get snaps for the Falcons in preseason. So maybe there is a little bit of that, but your coaches shouldn't be rusty, really, on paper. So they should know what they want to do from before you're even near the field. So it is an interesting one. What do you reckon, Cal, to the play calls?
Yeah, I think some were very, very poor. I think even we had a couple of obviously fourth down, which was only a yard, like halfway through the field, and you go with Bijan, and you've got Algier there. So Algier only had 19 snaps, and then Bijan had 63 out of 76.
Yeah.
And especially when we was in the red zone as well, which everyone knows our red zone play in the last couple of years has been
not great,
very below average, especially for the talent we have. But especially if we go back to, we had 4 tries to get in the end zone on the 1 yard line, and Bijan's running left with it.
Yeah,
I get it. If it works, it looks absolutely amazing. But you've got Algier there, who's only hitting 19 snaps, and I think the first quarter they both sort of equaled out, but I think I don't know if we say we compared it to last year, I think Algier definitely gets generally more than 19 snaps a game.
Yeah.
The 2-punch definitely works. Well, it worked last year, and I think they're still one of the best duos in the league. It was just some bad play calling which didn't help. And then the O-line, obviously you've not got McGarry, who's very good in the run game for us. But I don't think the O-line was too bad overall, so like what Liam said, 70% is going down the same line every time. It's like, got to be trying.
They're going to figure the pattern out.
Yeah.
I think when you look at those snap counts that you just showed as well, not a lot, but a handful of them, Bijan and Algier were on the pitch at the same time. So even though he was part of the snap count, it wasn't necessarily a play for him, which is fine in some cases, but it's an interesting one. In terms of the O-line, Penix went down a few times, but those things happen. I wasn't massively disappointed with it. I thought Penix was actually pretty cool on the ball, and he used every millisecond that he had, which is nice to see when Cousins was chucking it out of bounds and hitting the ground quite a lot at the back end of last season before Penix came in. So I wouldn't criticize that too much when we're in a bit of an adjustment period, because of course, like you said, McGarry's out, and then of course we lost Storm as well, which is a little bit of a kick in the teeth. So in terms of the players that were on the field, I don't think we could have expected a massive higher quality, I don't think, with the likes of Wilkinson coming in. But open to interpretation, of course.
I've got some interesting stuff on the O-line anyway. Some interesting.
Yeah, I think
just
to go on about. I was just going to mention Penix then about. There's obviously he probably keeps holding the ball like 1 or 2, maybe half a second too long at times, but it also works at times because he's got that pace. He's not like Kirk Cousins and he's standing. He has got he can move with the ball. So I think I've seen a lot of people complain that he maybe keeps it second too long, but I don't think yesterday hindered that much. You've obviously got London, who obviously went off injured in the last couple of drives as well, which didn't help. Pitts is a couple of catches, I think, but overall not great again. And then you've got Hodge, which was a touchdown all day long, and then he just didn't want it. Ball.
Yeah,
I don't know. So that was a touchdown, 100%, and that's Penix was through the perfect ball. So I think overall Penix had a solid game for his first start for the Falcons after 3 or 4 games last year. But I think he was generally pretty solid, especially with that O-line. That when you say we haven't got McGarry on that right side as well, you haven't, and obviously he's being a left-hander as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Go on, Liam. Drop us them stats then to probably make us a bit more depressed or hopeful. Who knows?
Yeah, they made some quite interesting reading, really, in terms of what kind of not what I expected to see pre-game, at least in sort of like the grades. But our best run blocker throughout the entire game, who graded considerably better than anybody else, was Elijah Wilkinson.
There we go.
He was our best run blocker, and considerably the worst was Jake Matthews.
Which is a shock because we would have expected more from him. So
yes, so that was an interesting switch. And then in the pass block, it was a little bit different. Elijah Wilkinson graded one of the worst in the pass blocking, but Matthew Bergeron was the best. Well, actually, it was Bijan, but obviously that's a little bit skewed. But it was actually Bergeron and then Lindstrom, which were the 2 best pass blockers, which technically would have extreme are our 2 best run blocking O-liners. So it was a little bit of a strange one. And I'm sad to say, but I mean, we kind of did expect this, but that Ryan Newsel was terrible at both.
Oh yeah, well, that's a shame as well, because one of the talking points that Mark wanted to raise last week and we didn't get quite around to it is would Newsel be able to step up into that role as effectively as we'd hope he could? And evidently, based on that, I know it's only game week 1, but maybe not so much. Maybe not yet.
Who do we think our best offensive grade was overall, as if in all the offensive players, if you just take every possible stat into account?
I mean, the eye test for me would have been Washington.
He had 72 snaps. He had. That was 76. He was on the field literally all the time, which is pretty good going.
Who do you reckon, Cal? Who do you reckon got the best grade on the offense? Like, obviously across all players.
I'm going to go with Ray.
With Ray. No, it was Kyle Pitts.
Fair enough. I mean, to be fair, we did see sparks, and I thought there were some good plays in there and some good routes in there, but I wouldn't have gone for it for the eye test. He had some like exciting ones, but consistently, maybe my eyes were wandering elsewhere.
Yeah.
I feel there was definitely a few that he missed. Like it's like him and Penix didn't have that connection at times when he threw it 5 yards in front of him, and I think they were both looking at each other. But
he was efficient in the passing game, and supposedly he had one required pass block and he completed it. So that was where it's coming from.
Fair enough. Something that I do want to flip onto on the defensive side was the numerous missed interceptions. Some were not as clear cut as others, so a little bit of grace, but I counted 4.
Yeah.
And I think at least half of those 4 should have been gimmies, really, whether you're able to return the ball or not. And that really obviously changes the momentum of the game so much. Yeah, we blocked it and take it back and make them do another play. But there was a few where I thought, that extra like half a second sharper and you'd be all over that.
We said this last week, didn't we? We said Mayfield's going to give us opportunities, and we didn't take them. And I think that's when I said then I don't think they're that good. But I also said I think we beat ourselves again compared to them beating us. And I think that is one of the things where even if you get 1 out of them 4, you're probably going to win the game. So it's a bit.
Yeah,
kick in the teeth. We've got any stats on that, Liam, or is that just me digging too deep?
I've got some stats on sort of the overall.
On like Watts and everybody, what we were.
Yeah, it's absolutely everything really. But I think some of the defensive stats, read fairly well across the board, apart from a couple of key players, which I'm surprised are down there as they are. So, our best defensive player, supposedly across the entire sort of like game, across the entire stat base, was Arnold Ebiketie, who graded really, really well across the board. And so did Ryan Diablo. They were the 2 standouts in terms of your defensive grade. And Xavier Watts as well was actually 3rd across our team, which did look like it to the eye as well, I would say.
It did. I agree. Watts looked like he'd been playing for a lot longer than his first appearance. So, and that's the most compliment you can really give a rookie that's fresh out of college. So I can't criticise that.
I would say so.
I think with obviously our cornerbacks, obviously with Hughes playing every snap as well, you could tell they was trying to target him, which is understandable from their part of the game, because he's obviously probably our weak link in the backfield. I don't think he played awful. I think that touchdown was just a pinpoint one, but you can tell he did target him throughout the game, which obviously didn't help. But I think that's one of the things where he's probably going to be our cornerback for the rest of the year, except if you bring anyone else in, or Billy Bowman sort of gets moved to that position. Who, fair play, another rookie got quite a lot of snaps and ended up getting our first sack of the season as well. So that's one positive.
Yeah. He looked steady. I did like. I am moving to a positive as opposed to a negative here, but I did like the look of Diablo as well. I thought he looked really tidy. Probably an improvement on what we've seen in that sort of position for the last couple of years. I know it's only one performance, so it's a small sample size, but he looked really, really alert, breaking up a lot of plays. Again, maybe responsible for one of the potential interceptions, but he was diving through the air when he made that one, so a little bit of leniency there for him. But I thought he looked really, really sharp.
Yeah.
I think Ellis, again, who was probably one of our best players last year, just put another very good performance overall. He wasn't perfect, but he's always there and he's always about. So
it's interesting. It's interesting you say that. What?
Because actually,
to deliver, he's the 2nd worst defensive player we had supposedly. He missed as many tackles as he made, which you don't really notice in the
which
game.
Doesn't make a great reading, but that's where the eye test is different, isn't it?
I didn't think he looked that bad, but
at once.
I thought he looked quite good. It's quite split the hard to notice, isn't it?
I thought he was
pretty good. I think he's always like say he missed half the ones, and to be fair, I can remember one of them he missed, and then I think we ended up sacking him anyway.
That was going to be mine as well. Like, he should have got the sack himself.
Yeah, he probably should have got
a little bit later on, but
I think overall he's always everywhere, and I think that's obviously you go off these ratings, and it is a bit like. Like everyone's
he's always missed tackles, basically. I think that's
I think he's going to be a proper solid player throughout this year, like he was last year. But like what Danny said, Diablo was here, there, and everywhere as well. So another positive.
Surprise player, well, in terms of the negative side, really was, I mean, because they rate them on a green, amber, and red status, and David Onyemata's looking like a brie and bacon sandwich from Sainsbury's in terms of it's just all red. It was absolutely awful according to this. Like he's the worst grades I've seen.
Sorry, that comparison was absolutely impeccable.
Like, yeah, it's red. It's like the kind of thing you definitely know you shouldn't be eating, but you do anyway.
What were the ratings on Pierce and obviously Walker? Because they only had 23 and 26 snaps. Which is the same as Luke and Ebby Keita as well. So
Walker was 14th out of 17, so not great, but it's kind of he wasn't.
I'm going to say I don't think he made mistakes as such. He wasn't responsible for any like huge plays or anything solely. So
and Pierce was 10th out of 17, so he did quite well, as sort of expected, really. The sort of like the pass rush percentage. Pierce did rush on every single one of his snaps that he was out on the field for, which we kind of expected. And Walker only rushed for 70% of the snaps that he was on the field for. So I sort of anticipated that Pierce is purely going to be a rusher, as that's what he does. And Jalen Walker's going to be used in a couple of different roles, and that sort of shows really in the first game at least. So that's probably what we're going to be doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. But James Pierce did rate our best pass rushing grade the whole game.
Nice. We'll take that. We'll take that. It's not too shabby.
Yeah, I think one of the positives I've seen was when we did blitz as well. Like obviously we got the sack off one of our blitz, but our blitz looked a lot more like pressured this year compared to last year. I think.
Yeah, it looked very intentional, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I know that is the whole point, but last year it looked awfully lethargic. Like we'd try and blitz and we just wouldn't even get near there at some points. Whereas I know it's early in the season, but it looked sharper, and the timing of them tended to be pretty good as well in terms of keeping them locked in. Because for the first quarter, and even at times through the game after that, we did hold them. Like we held them pretty well, but then as with the Falcons' nature, we gave up some silly plays at periodic times and just gave them that momentum back. The defenses that generated pressure on 40% of their opponents' dropbacks, the Falcons ranked 4th across the league of all the Sunday games at 40.5%, and the top was only the Steelers on 44%. So it's not that bad going to start the season on. Couple more negatives before we.
I was going to say, let's get back to the negatives now.
Yeah. Really quick one just from me in terms of, I know we touched on it then, that cornerback sort of positioning. You could argue that Hughes was responsible for 2 of the Bucs touchdowns up against a rookie wide receiver as well, which isn't a great look on paper. So I don't see us bringing anyone in, but we need to figure out if there's a way we can assist Hughes a little bit and babysit him a little bit better so he doesn't keep getting targeted like that, because that was a rookie wide receiver. Like, teams will clock that very quickly, and there's only so much space AJ can cover and how far Bates can get back and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it is an issue, that quarterback 2 position. I think we are sort of in the wall where we've got probably one of the worst quarterback 2s around the league, haven't we? I would say.
There's the biggest misbalance between our cornerback 1 and 2, without a doubt. Yeah. And then to wrap up the negatives, and we'll do this in the most respectful way possible. So Cal did put a poll on yesterday. Maybe a bit of a not reactionary from Cal, but maybe the votes are reactionary. And it was, is it time to move on from Koo? Yes, everybody was mad, so these votes do slightly. However, 91% of the votes said yes, it's time to move on from Koo. And that was well over 300 votes as well. So it's not that small of a sample size in terms of just a random social media post. Liam, how are you feeling about Koo? based on 9 missed field goals last year, starting the season in this way. One of the ones that he did convert hit the upright first, which scared the living daylights out of me. So how are you feeling? What's your consensus?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, you know, he's had a lot of good moments, and people will obviously bring up a lot of his good moments, which is fine. But I feel like he has shown now a prolonged period of lack of confidence, I think.
Yeah.
Like, he just doesn't look as sure in himself, and I don't think the team and the fans obviously are as confident in what he's going to do when he steps up there, and that will obviously affect a kicker, because although it's a really tough position to play, really, because when it's sort of like when you're playing well, nobody really cares, because you kind of just expect it to kick. That's all you do.
You're doing your job.
Yeah. But then when you miss, everybody will talk about you because you're supposed to be able to kick it, and obviously you're in the most vulnerable position on the entire team, in terms of a team can basically cut you without worrying about any sort of financial loss, because you don't get paid a lot anyway. So you're constantly under threat of being cuttable and being replaced by probably the 50 kickers that are probably out there with free agents right now.
About the league.
Yeah, so you're under so much pressure constantly, and obviously as soon as you start to miss, the next one's in your head, and you're probably gonna you could even tell the one that he actually kicked. There's not as and I think it's interesting because obviously I know he's never had the biggest sort of leg in the league. We've kind of known that, but over the last season or two at least, the kickers now are just sinking him down the middle from all sorts of ranges, and he's falling even further behind in terms of when we're in the sort of late 40 yards, 50 yard range. I'm worried that he can't actually, reach it. And then there's kickers out there who when he gets to 60, it's just a chip shot. I know it's not all about the distance, but obviously, it does give you an extra weapon that if your field goal range is, 15, 20 yards different than another team's, that's can be 3 points where we're getting 0, and it makes a difference over a game. It's do we go and sort of just try something different? And obviously I don't really know what's out there, whether we can go and get somebody of high quality, where we could bring somebody in and it'd be shocking. It can easily happen. So there's a lot. Obviously we've got a kicker on the roster or ready or on the practice squad who could potentially take over, and we know he's got a leg, but accuracy is another thing. So I'd certainly be exploring it if I was the Falcons. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Go on, Carl, what do you think? And then I'll do my little bit.
Yeah, I think, like we said, with the voting, I think it's a good vote to put out there. Obviously, I think 91%. I think if people did it today, I still reckon it'd be about 75%.
Yeah, you take away a little bit just because people have calmed down a little bit. But...
I'd still think it'd be at least 3/4, which I think is fair. I think I looked at a stat last night. I think someone put out, I think he was, after the last 2 years, I think he was 31st in the league for kicking.
Yeah.
If he wasn't so good for the first few years, I think he would have been gone in the summer, basically. I think I agreed. Let's bring him back. I think he's done so much and he's won in so many games, but missing how many however he missed last year, and then missing. I know it's the first game of the season, but when it's against your major rivals in the division, to take it to overtime where anyone can then go on to win it is massive. It's a massive miss. And it was it 50 yards?
44. It wasn't even
But it wasn't even a miss. It was it was ridiculous. It wasn't close at all. And I think that's the main thing. If it hit the post, you might have been a bit but like what Liam said, 44 yards is everyone's 90% of the leagues hitting 44 yarders for fun. People are hitting 55 yarders. People are hitting 60 yarders now.
Yeah.
So,
I agree with you both. Kicking has changed in the last couple of seasons. We see people that aren't even in the league at the moment, like you said, along those free agents, absolutely leathering balls further than that. And it does come down to accuracy, but unless you trial it, you don't know. And I agree with you, Cal, in terms of if Koo hadn't been sensational for us at earlier points in his career, which he was, and I'll never disregard that. I think he'd have probably been out the door already. I think he's living on borrowed time at the moment. But we had this conversation last season. So how far do you go before you think, no, you're potentially costing us games at this point? I know it's a hypothetical. We could have gone into overtime and we could have lost anyway. But I think based on the performance that we put in, we'd earned that right to find out. We weren't bad value for the win. If we'd won that game, I don't think the Bucs would have been too fuming, and vice versa. I think we were both of a similar caliber overall. So being robbed of that opportunity doesn't sit too well with me, to be honest.
I generally think the organisation you've got to be. It's a brutal sport. Like you say, that could have took us into overtime. You could go and win it, even if you lose it. At least he's done his job, and that's all that matters. He's not even doing the basics of his job. Like if you missed the 60-yard, I would have been like, fair enough.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I wouldn't criticise too much. It happens, doesn't it?
44 yards, and I think Terry knows he's probably on the hot seat this year. And if Drew's missing winning games or taking it a tie game, etc., they'll be looking right now. They'll definitely be looking. Like Liam said, I don't know what's about it. No one.
Well,
knows.
like you said, whether we're looking to,
they'll be testing them out. I think we always said that the pressure is good for a kicker. That's what you want. But I think he gives him another week, and then if he doesn't perform next week, I think he is. Goodbye.
Well, like you said, we've got we had him through pre-season and everything like that. Lenny Krigg, that's come through the international pathway. I'm like 99% sure he made the practice squad after waivers and all of that jazz and everything that he had to go through. So there is an option in-house that we could utilise, but if they wanted somebody steady, so to speak, that's been in the league and been there and done it all, we could find someone in a day, like no problems at all. I'm not trying to kick him out the door. I really don't want to. I think he's been a sensational player for us, but when it starts costing you games in that manner, you really do have to consider it's for the greater good, really, isn't it? Without sounding too superhero-y. That was a bit cliche. Let's bring the mood up for the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes or whatever. There was actually tons of positives. Like there was genuinely positives scattered about. Maybe not on a consistent basis, but Penix looked sharp to me. Watts looked pretty good. Diablo looked good. You had Pitts coming into the game. London maybe not quite as lively as always, but he was carrying a bit of a shoulder injury by the looks of it. So where do we want to start? Liam, do you want to give us your favourite positive?
I think my favourite positive was probably Penix, which is a good positive to have.
The quarterback's a good one to be high on, isn't it?
It wasn't perfect, but not many quarterback performances are. There's a few, passes I'm sure he would like to have back, and a couple where he, maybe held on to ball a little longer than he could have done, but that's going to happen in a lot of games to a lot of quarterbacks. So overall, he was sharp. He was getting the ball out pretty quickly, and he was pretty accurate for most of the game. We didn't really give him too many sort of deep balls. We were quite safe, but that's not.
You can see he's got it in the tank though. He had
a
few.
He's got it. He's definitely got the arm to do it. Yeah. He just maybe we will probably unleash him a little bit more further down. But I think that will be. I think we were a bit more conservative because we didn't have Mooney out there, who is our kind of down the field 20-yard plus guy, isn't he? Like you shown that last season, how many 20-yard plus catches he had. I think when he's back, we'll probably scheme some deeper stuff for Penix, and he won't have any problems finding anybody at any sort of range, really. He looked confident in himself. A couple of concerns about him. I think it is a positive and a negative, really. It's a positive that he didn't look sort of phased at all by the pass rush, and he kind of just he stood in the pocket and made his throw, and under pressure he just didn't seem he just seemed confident in his ability to make a throw regardless of what was coming at him, which is great. But on the flip side of that, he didn't seem to care what was coming at him, and I think he's doing that. He's going to take a lot of hits this season. and that is a little bit concerning because he's had a bit of health issues in the past, like he's had injuries. Yeah. He's going to take a lot of hits, and you never know what one hit can do. So I would have liked to have seen him maybe sort of move out of the pocket a little bit more rather than just sort of standing there and delivering it like a pure pocket passer would and taking the hit. If he could take it all season, I'm fine, but I doubt that he can. So, but overall, his stats were good. There was no interceptions. Obviously, there was one or two where they could have maybe intercepted it, but he was pretty accurate, good yardage, pretty efficient. Obviously, got a rushing touchdown as well, didn't he? Which was a very hard committed touchdown. Like, he really had to go for that. So that was great to see, and that was a good read. That because there's nothing on. He just I'm just going to go and dive basically, and he did it, and he showed good commitment.
And it wasn't just the touchdown either. He got us to that 1 yard line play that got reviewed for about 7 hours.
Yeah,
that was it was literally almost an identical play in terms of how he did it. He again saw nothing was on and thought, you know what, I've got no other choice. I did think they were going to keep that as on-field standing as didn't make it, but literally, cameras don't lie. His knees were not down, and he was literally like millimeters over that line. So we take it. In the same way that you just said, Liam, I was actually quite reassured by how unfazed he was by the pass rush. It's a little bit daunting at times because he is going to take some hits. But last season we saw Cousins panic, whether it was for his injury sakes or whether he's just not quite got the same commitment that he used to. But we saw him panic when he got in that position and just release the ball, which is safer sometimes. But in Penix doing so, he also drew quite a lot of fouls for roughing the passer and things like that because people weren't expecting him to be so brave to release right at the very, very last second and then took a few hits afterwards. So there's something there. I like it. It wasn't quite as mobile as I thought it was going to be. It might have been down to first game and everything like that. I thought he was going to use his legs a little bit more than he did, despite the touchdown and everything. But it could have been schemed that way, to be fair, just to kind of babysit him for the first few games to make sure he's firing. What did you think, Carl?
Yeah, obviously, Penix was obviously a bright moment for us throughout the game. I think one of the good things about difference between him and Kirk, even though he's sort of accepting the pressure, because he actually launches that ball like a rocket launcher.
He does.
It gives like the other team literally very slim chance to actually intercept it if it is one of them balls. So he's definitely a bright spot. I think I'm going to give Bijan a bit as well, just for his obviously receiving. The run game was pretty awful, but you can tell Bijan now, like he did last year. I think he got 500-600 receiving yards. It could be more, but you could see him being used. Obviously, I'd rather have Mooney back and that target for Penix in general. But overall, I think Penix was pretty steady. You can see what he can do. You can see he can get out of the pocket quite quick as well. He's got an absolutely rocket launch on it. Good. One of the other positives was actually seeing 4 rookies on the field for like the first time since I think we've ever supported them. I don't think I've ever seen 4 out of our 5 that got drafted this year.
No, we've not.
We've been supporting them, so it's good. And none of them played bad. They all chipped in. Some were better than others. Obviously, Bowman with a sack as well, which can't really complain with that. So that was obviously good to see.
You're spot on there though, because last year we literally barely saw any of the rookies, like nearly at all. So
I can't remember seeing any. I think one point I'm going to see is Kobe Bryant still on the practice? Is he on our practice squad?
Did he not get?
I thought so.
I thought so.
I just got the name in front of me, and I was thinking, like, obviously with Hughes being, he's obviously trust him, but I think he has got to improve. But I'm going to see if anyone else sort of comes into the forward this week to put a bit of pressure onto that cornerback too. But overall, I think the defense like what Danny you mentioned about the 40% earlier. So the
Yeah.
pressure this year was a lot better in this game compared to most games last year. So
Yeah,
there's a
no,
lot of
absolutely.
positives. We just need them positives turning into big positives, and then
Yeah,
game
instead of glimmers, like.
yeah, I think it is. But it's the first game, obviously. The loss isn't great, but I don't think I don't think any of us were like, even when Koo missed it, I wasn't like raging. Like we've all been
Yeah.
fuming before. I don't know. I think it was one of them situations where we thought I have seen enough positives to think we could still go on to win this division.
Yeah, I'd agree. Like I was fuming in the way that we didn't take it to overtime, but in terms of the performance, just the core performance itself, I was pretty impressed. Sorry, I need to circle back to a negative real quick because since we've been live, Raheem Morris has had his press conference and he was asked about the kicking situation, obviously, and I quote, "We've got to go out there and look. We've got to bring people in to compete." And then following that, he said, "We're going to bring in some vets and we're going to bring in some young guys." So. Kicking situation is going to be up in the air for the next week or so. No doubt we can only see what comes of that. But no more going backwards. Back to the positives. Liam, anything else you picked up on in there that you've got hope for the season?
I mean, Pitts was one of them, really.
Yeah.
In general, it wasn't like a standout performance that we'd remember or anything, but like he was very solid. He was involved. That's the kind of
he was, yeah.
The main thing for us. Like he had I can't remember eight catches or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but he had some. He was there, which is kind of more than he's been in sort of
the bare minimum.
Games in the past. Yeah, he did some decent stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think like obviously like Casey Washington, like you mentioned earlier, like obviously he's not supposed to be playing really, but he stepped in and did a solid enough job for us, which I think shows that at least we've got a little bit of depth at the receiver position if we do get any sort of injuries. The run game was great. Like I said, Bijan in the open space looks lethal, and no team is going to enjoy facing that because I don't really know how you tackle him. I don't actually understand how you're supposed to get 1v1 and just get through.
Yeah, that first drive where he had the play and he was 1-on-1 I can't remember the linebacker off the top of my head, but whoever he's put against, I thought that's unfair. Like you can't, the Bucs can't allow a player to be exposed like that. It's just not right. No. I'm surprised he recovered well after that, their linebacker, because if something like that happened to me in the first minute of a game, I think
it just really, the movements that he can do in open spaces, it's not natural. Not for somebody his size, anyway. Usually, like somebody who can do that kind of move is usually about like 5'8" and like mid-outs score. He's just not
natural. Circle back to some more positives. So, like I said earlier on in the show, we had Diablo. Looked sharp for me. I can't remember, Liam, where you said he ranked in terms of
second
plays and anything like that. Oh,
yeah.
There we go. And that pass both in that case that passes both the stats test and the eye test because sometimes they don't always match up. But to me, look lively, and that's a reassuring performance for me for the rest of the season. Like these, obviously, people have dips and peaks and troughs, but that made me think, he'll be all right there. Like he's going to do a job for us. So I think Mr. Divine's going to be an all right addition.
He got I think he got 3 quarterback hurries. He made all of his tackles. He got 4 run stuffs and was good in coverage. He only missed 1 coverage. Basically, he did 1 negative thing the entire game. So.
You can't. That's what it's not a bad debut, is it? Really?
No, it's not.
And then, of course, moving backfield again onto one of our rookies, Mr. Watts. Yeah, he did have to make that interception, but another good showing for the eye test at least. I think he'll be more than comfortable alongside Jesse Bates back there. So that's quite reassuring for me, I think.
Yeah, I think it was good.
Nice. Anything else that we want to pick out positive wise before we have a brief look at what we want to see for next week?
Philippe France made one snap.
Boom! There we go. Do you know what? I kind of like that as like a random
Can't
story.
remember what it was, but he's always
No.
I wouldn't have guessed that, to be fair. So I can't remember what player he was on the field for. I genuinely no idea whatsoever. It's an interesting one.
He made a run block.
Oh,
There we go. Perfect performance. One snap. One block. You can't criticise that. The GOAT. Beautiful. So we'll do a quick bit on what we want to see next week. It's early yet, and we don't have much to compare to, so we will keep this a little bit shorter. Of course, the Vikings are yet to play this week. They play tonight. So we've not really got much to judge from them. Not going to base preseason or anything like that. So what are we looking for next week other than better play calls, I assume?
I think generally that run game has to improve, running 50 yards overall. I think that's one of the main things that it's got to improve. I think let's be honest, if we doubled our runs yesterday, we probably would have gone on to won the game. Like, I don't think it was at such small margins. I think that is.
Yeah.
I think that's got to be every fan's like. You've just got to improve that run game a lot more.
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything you're looking out for, Liam, in terms of whether it's Falcons or the Vikings themselves?
It's a bit tough, obviously, without them playing so far. So we'll see how sort of like their
rookie quarterback, who's not rookie but is a rookie.
Yeah, he's a rookie.
So that'll be obviously kind of a telling point how he does sort of tonight. How we fare. I guess this is a game that we're sort of expected to lose, which sometimes
on paper
helps us a little bit because that's the kind of game that we tend to sometimes win, and then go and lose to somebody like the next week.
It better not be, because the next week's the Panthers. So
it'll be just like us, though, won't it? We go and smash the Vikings. But yeah, I think Carl, we have to be more efficient in the run game. We just have to execute a little bit better on both sides of the ball. Really, we're going to have some difficult matchups in terms of the receivers. I think we know that's coming. So I think it won't be easy, but there's certainly a lot to build on. And I do think we're going up against an inexperienced quarterback who hasn't got the highest reputation. Obviously, nothing wrong with the way he plays, but he doesn't seem to be like an elite quarterback. But I'll say that now, and then he'll probably go like 400 yards and 4 touchdowns tonight and embarrass me. But we'll see.
I think that's one of the main things for next week. You've got to, even though our pressure was pretty good this weekend, he's basically a rookie quarterback, and this is going to be his first start tonight. It's his second start next week. So it's on prime time as well. So
you've got to test his nerve, haven't you? You've got to stick it on him and see.
We've got the players to do it. Like we've shown last night, just if you upped it 10-15% more, we'll get a few sacks against him, especially being quite nervous after his obviously injury from last year as well. I think they're probably the main things. If you pressure. You've got to pressure the quarterback anyway, because you have the wide receivers they have against a cornerback that isn't great at the moment. So you've got to create that pressure. You've got to put him under a lot of pressure to create them chances where Bates and then Watts can hopefully intercept. I think that's one of the main. I think that could be one of the win or lose situations in this game.
Yeah. That was a very political response there, Cal, about Hughes, by the way. A cornerback that's maybe not doing so great was. I'm
not allowed to swear, am I?
No, we try and keep it family friendly, but I do always tick the explicit box when I'm uploading the shows, just in case.
Just wait until next week's show if you lose.
Yeah, it's early yet. We're only 0-1, so it doesn't seem quite so bad yet, does it? Before we wrap it up, then, we'll do a little whip around of the league. Not too much, but there's been some juicy plays, juicy matchups and things like that. One that I wanted to point out was, and I've said this away from the Falcons page and on my own pages and stuff, I think Green Bay are going to be the real deal this year. Yes, it's early in the season, but they were against what we all know to be a very good Lions team on paper, and they made them look fucking average. And I just swore unintentionally, so I didn't mean to come out, but they did make them look average. So I think Green Bay, obviously momentum will dictate, but I think they've got a shout this year. Do either of you two guys have a bit of an outlier or a thought on any teams like that?
Well, I put a bet on, so Packers win it. I still think there's generally better teams, but I got each way, so it's not too bad.
Oh, nice.
I do think they'll be up there, especially in obviously the NFC side. The Eagles didn't. I know they beat the Cowboys, and to be fair, I know last year we beat the Eagles and not what they ended up doing anyway. So I know it's only the first couple of games.
Yeah.
But I think the Packers would be definitely up there this year. Still think the Lions will be.
No, I agree. I think they will be as well. It's just one of them games, but
one of them games. But yeah, then obviously the Bills.
Yeah.
That comeback was absolutely ridiculous,
especially against a fellow contender, and that's like an almost a dead cert contender. They're two teams that for the next handful of years are always going to be up there.
That's the AFC Championship game this year for me.
Very possibly.
Yeah, I would say that the Packers and them two are the three best teams in the league. Surely, I would like.
Yeah.
The Ravens are just lethal, and then the Bills obviously, pulled that out of the bag. I think the Ravens should have really won that game. Like it was just on a fumble that cost them the game. But they both played very well, and I know obviously you might look at the defense and go how they both give up like 40+ points, but the offenses are just so
good.
So good that I don't think either defenses are bad at all. I just think. They've got so many weapons that it's just wow, I don't even know how to. Nobody couldn't contend with each other. That and I really hope it is the championship game because
it would make for good neutral viewing.
I want to watch it again.
And then one more that I wanted to dip into, but go on, Cal, if it's on the same.
I think it's probably the same run with the Jets and Steelers. Another
spot on,
absolutely ridiculous game. Fair play to Mark's best mate, Rodgers in Pittsburgh. And Fields, fair play to Fields. Obviously signed a decent contract at the Jets. Absolutely balling out all game. So did Rodgers, and it was just
proper end-to-end stuff. One thing I didn't like, or I do like, but I don't, because if it was happening to my team, I'd be fuming, is the interviews that Rodgers did after the game, where he said that he wanted to show everyone in the Jets organization a little bit of disrespect, and that's me saying it politely. And I was like, mate, come on, you're a legend of the league, whatever, people can debate that. You had an amazing career at the Packers. They give you a lifeline. Why are you playing them like that? You don't need to.
Maybe he should have performed for the Jets when it was. I know he had an injury, but
exactly.
He had a chance to perform. He didn't perform, did he?
Exactly. And I know he got that injury in his first season, and that did derail the whole project, really. But still, they give you a lifeline, mate. They give you a second chance.
And this is why Mark hates it.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. Any other games that any of you want to touch on before we call it a night?
I mean, the Colts and Dolphins was a bit of a
shock.
Oh, that was. Well, that's not good, because I was thinking about that, because we're going to Germany and watching them. I was thinking the Colts ain't going to be that good this year, but I know it's only one game.
I think the Dolphins...
but I think the Dolphins need to burn it down. I think they've been hovering for a handful of years where they've really, really underachieved based on the players that they've had on the roster. And they've got to the point now where it's like, no, you can't. It's not sustainable. You need to start from scratch. We were talking about it live during the game, Cal, in terms of Tua getting hit all the time, chucking the ball all over the place. He's had tons of injuries. He's had numerous concussions and stuff. And I feel for the bloke because, of course, you don't choose those things, but it looks like it's starting to catch up on his game little by little. And for somebody that's so direct and has been mobile, it's not a great sign, is it? Really?
I don't think it ever helps when you've got your best wide receiver on the bench, sort of moaning and
No, it doesn't.
Out straight away. It's never a good sign. I think Nabbit, who's the guy for Giants as well.
Neighbours.
Yeah. I've not really read up on it, so I don't like. But he looked like he was sort of doing the same thing until his coach spoke to me. It's like you're in game week 1, like you're getting paid millions of pounds. Like the attitude doesn't look great at the moment for some players. So.
Yeah, but it was an interesting first week. I know it's not all over yet. I know we've got a game tonight, and that should be a good watch if anybody is staying up for it. But there's something there. So before we wrap the show up, and I know it's early in the season, and we said this last week as well, score predictions for next week. I'll start us off to give you both a sec. I unfortunately do think we're going to lose, but I think we'll be competitive again. So I'm going to go a little 26-24 to the Vikings, I think. This is one that I had on paper during preseason as a loss. So I will stick to that because I do think in general they're probably a better team than us at the moment in time. But like you said, it remains to be seen tonight, depending on how JJ Daniels does at quarterback. Liam or Cal?
I went for a win, so I
okay.
I've got a note down in front of me, so I can't change what I've gone for. I think it'll be close. I don't get score prediction. I'll go 30-27, and our new kicker wins us the game.
Wow, that's a bold call. Might go back to that one.
Sorry, Koo.
Liam, to wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I was losing this game, but yeah, I mean, it might. My score prediction might change after tonight. We'll see how that goes. But I feel like it's going to be like something like 34-17 or something like that to the Vikings. Is probably. I do think they'll beat us.
That's a fat loss as well.
I just feel like they'll. I don't know. I feel like it'll be one of them where we'll be chasing the game and have some sort of like poor interception plays or pick sixes. But like it depends how we start. If we can get ahead of them, I feel like we'll be okay. But I'd be worried about us chasing it.
Yeah. Against an offense like that, you can't afford to chase the game because they can afford to open up and take more risks than if they're leading by a decent shot. Just jump in the comment a sec. Carl, thank you for watching. Even if it is the back end of the show, I'll let you all off. And then Eleanor in the comments. At least if we do lose, we can rally for the Panthers afterwards, which is absolutely spot on because that game is not a gimme. But on paper, you should be winning games like that, especially based on their loss to the Jags, who, by all accounts, the Jags aren't a great team themselves. So you never know. We're in there. And the Saints lost too, so we're still in the mix in the division. There's no one trailing it, like steaming ahead of us, of course, after one game, bar the Bucs. But we'll get our revenge for that later in the season. But on that note, we will. I thought Liam was going to say something, but he sneezed, so bless you.
I held it in.
We will call it a night. Thank you all for joining the group therapy session. We got the negatives out of the way nice and early so we could finish on a more positive note. The Vikings up next week. Of course, they got to play tonight, so we'll have all eyes on that to see what we're going to be up against because nobody really knows at the moment in time. If you, for any reason, do want a little bit of ATL Falcons UK merch to represent over this side of the pond, Cal is wearing an embroidered cap. Stunning stuff. Amazing quality. Liam has a personalised hoodie on with our logo, and you can add your initials or a number or whatever you want there. I'm not representing tonight. I've actually got a Grady Jarrett jersey on. I think it's because of PTSD and a missing. So thank you all for watching. If you didn't catch it live, you can catch it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm not going to scream it like Mark. I've not got the facilities for that. And if you don't already, click that subscribe button. Drop us a review if you're watching or listening via a podcast platform. Follow us on all social media channels, and we will be back next week, hopefully sitting at 1-1. But, It's the Falcons we're watching here, so I won't go too hard on that one. But thank you all again, and we will catch you next week.